Mercy is a sci fi thriller starring Chris Pratt and Rebecca Ferguson, where a detective who is accused of killing his wife must prove his innocence in an AI courtroom in 90 minutes. I got to see this film today, so let's talk about it. My expectations for this film were not extremely high. Nothing about the trailers really blew me away, and obviously this is a mid-January release. So I didn't really have too high of expectations going into this film, but honestly, what we got here, I actually ended up enjoying. There was a lot of influence from movies like Searching and Minority Report that were very present in this film, and I thought that the adventure that we went on here was a pretty good time. The movie mostly takes place in this Mercy AI courtroom, and it's really just Chris Pratt having to use all of the like cloud AI technology that is available in the world to prove his innocence, because in this world with the Mercy program everyone is presumed guilty until proven innocent, rather than the way that it actually is in the United States currently. And I think that's a very interesting concept. And it kind of, gives you some commentary on the usage of AI and maybe what AI is going to look like and the certain types of things it's going to do in the future. Because it's really a scary thought, if the courts and stuff like that decided to use this technology to figure out and determine who, actually is serial killers and murderers, and then punish them for it. It's a very interesting concept that I thought, explored those themes very well. And I know lately it's been a thing where a lot of people don't like Chris Pratt, just because of his certain views that he has. I don't really agree, with those things. I still think he's a good actor, and I think he gives a good performance here. I think he does a really good job at, bearing the pain of essentially being accused of something that he does not believe that he did. And then you have the performance from Rebecca Ferguson, where she's basically playing the AI in this film, which I thought she did pretty flawlessly, to be honest with you. If they told me that Rebecca Ferguson was AI, I think after this performance I would believe her. But she's obviously a very good actor, so that's why you get the performance that you get here. And obviously, the movie really hinges on both of their performances. So I think they work well together here and do a really good job. And the thing that I think that really works well about this film is the central mystery. Again, it's very much presented to you in the beginning of the movie that Chris Pratt does not remember a lot of the events that occurred during the time frame in which they are accusing him of murdering his wife. So through technology, he has to kind of try to figure out what exactly happened and, who really did this. And that central mystery is played out really well. There was a few times in the film where I felt like they threw red herrings at you, and I thought to myself as I was watching it, oh, okay, I know where this is going. I've kind of figured out what's happening here. Is he going to be able to prove it though in the time frame that he has? And then the movie throws you for a loop and actually shows you that that's not true. So I really thought that this movie did a very good job at being unpredictable with what was really going on here, and the mystery around who actually killed his wife, and what the bigger grand scheme of things are here. So I thought that aspect of this film was really well done. I also really felt like the time element here brought a certain urgency and certain stakes to the film. Again, he has 90 minutes that he has to prove his innocence, or he's going to die. He's going to be sentenced to death. And I feel like having that ticking clock was like literally on the screen basically the entire runtime of the movie. And the movie itself is only 90 minutes. So you really get that tension, and you feel the stakes at the fact that we're on a limited time here and he only has a certain amount of time to save himself. And like I said, I feel like that it brought gravitas to the situation and urgency to it, where it didn't feel like we were meandering at any point. Like he's got to get this done, and he has to get it done quickly, and you felt that through the storytelling. I also think visually, this film looked really, really good. I know they made a pretty big push on like IMAX and 3D for this film. I did not see it in 3D. I saw it in 2D Dolby Cinema. myself personally, and I thought that was a great experience to see the film in. Um, I again, I can't speak for the 3D. I don't know if necessarily this film would have justified a 3D conversion without seeing it. I can't really speak on it. But in the format that I saw, which was the regular 2D Dolby Cinema, it was great. I really liked how in the courtroom, through the use of AI, it kind of put Chris Pratt into situations that were going on and like made the environment these videos that he's watching. So it made it feel like, even though this is a movie where he's just sitting in a chair and going through certain events, it made it feel a little bit bigger than just being a movie that was set in a courtroom. So it didn't get repetitive with the beats that the movie had visually and the environment that you're in. So I really enjoyed that, and I think it was just the movie looks good. It was not shot in a way that makes it look ugly. If there was digital usage in the film, it wasn't all that noticeable to me. Or green screen wasn't really that noticeable. So I felt like visually this movie did a good job. But overall, even though I did enjoy the film, there is a couple of things that did not work for me and hold this back from, I think, what its potential truly could have been. And this film really stretches credibility and realism. It supposedly takes place in 2029, which is only 3 years from now. And a lot of the jumps that they make with the AI technology and the presumptions when it comes to prosecutions, anyone who's dealt with the law or even knows how the law works in America can tell you that there are a lot of jumps here that don't really make a whole lot of sense and are just added into the film for dramatic effect. So don't go into this thinking you're going to get them, even though it's only 3 years from now, get even remotely a realistic approach when it comes to, the justice system and even like the implementation of AI. Like, we're not even really there yet. So just realism wise, throw that out the window. Don't really go into this expecting to get anything in a realistic sense. And then I talked about how the central mystery of this film was very intriguing and was very well done. I will say, once you get into that third act, though, and you get the reveal of what is actually going on, they also try to shoehorn in another storyline and a twist for that storyline. And that one, for me, was significantly weaker and felt like it was kind of unnecessary for the film. I feel like the ending of the film could have been wrapped up a lot better if that plot line was not included, because it involves another character in the movie and they don't really set it up at all. It kind of just happens right at the end, and I don't know. I just didn't really like it. I liked the main central mystery that we had going on. The B plot line, we can call it, that they add in, didn't really work for me. And then I will say, if you are someone who is vehemently against AI, this is absolutely not going to be the movie for you. There are some comments made in this film about, how we should feel about the implementation of AI and the relationship between AI and humans. That felt a little tone deaf. I'm going to be honest with you. I was some of the comments that are made in the film, I'm like, what are we doing here? I won't spoil what's said, but it really kind of feels like in this film particularly, it's Hollywood trying to, soften the blow and the perception of what people think about AI. And in the messaging, they try to do that, but I think in the execution, it just completely fails and falls flat on its face. Because this system that they implement with the AI, for one, is just crazy. How basically, if it gets to a certain percentage where the AI thinks you're guilty, that triggers you to be brought into this mercy court, and then you have 90 minutes to prove yourself. It's not even like you're, represented by a lawyer like how you would in a normal court system, to prove yourself that you didn't do it or you're going to die. that's kind of crazy. I mean, there are investigations in the real world, that last months and years and don't get resolved, and then you have court cases. So that feels like a really big stretch. And then the movie tries to tell you that that is beneficial to society, and the system can work. It's very flawed in its current state, the Mercy Court, but it can work if humans and AI can work together. And again, if you're not a fan of AI, that's going to rub you the wrong way. And for me, it rubbed me the wrong way. I did not like those comments. I didn't like the message that it was presenting in that aspect. So that really did knock the film back for me quite a bit. But honestly, overall, because I had such low expectations for this film, I did have a good time with it. I'm not going to give this is not a negative review. I think overall I am positive on the movie. I think the positives did outweigh the negatives, and it was a good enough time and had a good enough central mystery to keep me engaged and to keep me entertained for 90 minutes. So comment below. Let me know if you've seen Mercy. Let me know what you thought about the film. Do you agree with any of my specific points? I'd like to have a discussion about it. I think it's a movie, especially because of the subject matter with AI, is definitely one that we should have more conversations about. And that's pretty much it for me today, guys. So everyone, have a great night.